All right. I think I'm going to take a little bit of a surprising take with it today. I think you're
Oh,
going to be
really?
surprised.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm
So,
I'm ready.
all right, good. So today we're talking about whether or not the Large Hadron Collider is a device being used to awaken an Egyptian god.
Yes.
So first off,
Oh,
wow, that's
that's
it seems out there,
it's
right?
a bold statement.
It's bold. Yeah, it's bold for sure. Especially because I've also read that not only is an Egyptian god, but also maybe a Hindu god, the Hindu god Shiva. Did you read that?
Yeah, so I actually got quite a few theories.
Okay.
Uh Number one, just a god, some sort of god, an evil presence,
Hmm.
the Antichrist, uh yeah, a Hindu god, an Egyptian god. It's there are a lot of theories around what the Hadron Collider could potentially summon.
Right, and it's never. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but it's never um, the the Christian God that are used to knowing about. You know, like the omnipotent being that is completely good. It's always like the god of the dead from Egypt. It's
Right.
the god Shiva. It's like we're trying to cause a black hole, like in a wormhole, and it's like, what? Excuse me? But yeah,
No
it's
one's ever
it's
trying to summon one of the nice gods.
no,
It's always the evil god.
obviously it has to be the evil god. Has to be. But do you want to give us a brief like rundown of why people think this is happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think even before we go into that, maybe just a brief overview of what the Hadron Collider actually
Oh, good
is.
point. Yeah, let's do that.
Because I don't know. I mean, I think before we started this, I kind of had a general idea, kind of what it was, but
Mhm.
um, got a little more clarity when I started researching this. So maybe for those of you who don't know exactly what the Hadron Collider is, a brief summary might be helpful.
Yeah, so I guess the easiest way to put it is that the Hadron Collider takes particles,
Takes
right?
energy.
Right, energy, and it collides them together at like I don't know. It's not. I mean, it's fast, but it's not like I don't know how to. I don't know how to say it precisely, but they basically smash this energy together in hopes to create new particles, essentially.
Yes, because they're trying to recreate the conditions that occurred right after the Big Bang
Right.
to see. So during that time, the universe was a lot more particle and energy dense. And so the idea is if they recreate uh, this atmosphere, that obviously they're going to find particles that we already know of, but the goal is to discover particles that we don't yet know of in hopes of trying to, explain more about the universe, what we don't know about the universe.
Right. They hope to
Um,
find the God particle, as it's known,
mhm.
and so basically that's essentially like the gist of it is that they
Yeah,
smash these things together to create new particles in hopes that they can find the God particle, or as you said, what created the Big Bang, right?
yeah.
Um,
A couple of interesting facts that I found. So the Hadron Collider is actually it's just like a 17-mile loop. So they like fling this energy around in circles and then have it collide. So that's kind of cool. And uh the center, so the Hadron Collider is at the European Center for Nuclear Research, and it's actually home to half of the entire world's particle physicists. So like a ton of these particle physicists are just there
yeah,
researching this stuff. So it's kind of cool. It's even outside of the context of this conspiracy theory, it's just really cool. Like it's a neat piece of science, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even I would even go so far as to like if we're going to put it in like nerd terms, right? So like the Hadron Collider is what is used to create the Flash, right?
Right.
So like that's another occurrence is that maybe when this god comes out of this Hadron Collider, he'll be super fast.
Mhm.
So keep that in your back pocket. It might happen. Just saying.
Something good might come out of this Hadron Collider.
Maybe.
Besides the discovery of, particles that would explain our universe.
Right.
Secondary stuff.
Right. That's secondary stuff. We need the Flash.
Right.
Um, but yeah, like I think it's really an interesting concept. Uh, that they're just. It almost seems like when you break it down into layman's terms, it almost seems like childish because to me, I just picture these guys like smashing things together, right? And that's basically what they're doing. They're just smashing these things together at the subatomic level to try and create, these different particles or whatever. But it reminds me of um, those like crackle balls. Do you remember those things when
What
you
where
were a
you
kid?
where you slam them on the ground and they
They
pop?
like yeah they make like a loud gunshot or sparks, or
It's just a
whatever.
bunch of scientists throwing energy onto the ground and
Yeah,
making particles.
basically, basically that's what it is. Um, but enough about that. Okay, so do we want to jump into the theory now?
Yeah, so obviously anything sciency like this is going to have its fair share of conspiracy theories.
As did
And
the HARP facility.
yeah, yeah. Anything that people don't really fully understand
Oh yeah,
can spark these kinds of theories. Uh, but to be fair, there's some interesting um, some interesting things going on at the facility that also may have helped spark these theories beyond what they're beyond the experiments that they're actually performing. There are a few other happenings or occurrences at this facility. So I think going back to our initial statement of what do people think is actually going to be summoned from this portal or whatever that opens from the collider. One of those was a Hindu god. I think it was
right.
Shiva is the big one. Um, so apparently the CERN, so the uh, shortened name for this facility is CERN. They're really tight with, I don't know, with Indian physicists, scientists. So
Yeah.
they literally have this giant statue of Shiva outside of the research facility. So
Mm,
obviously, people start to ask questions.
right.
So I think
Yeah.
that's one of the big things. Do you have a few more?
Yeah.
I know
So
that, yeah.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So inside the facility itself, there's like writing. I don't know if you saw this, but there's writing in different languages, and it's like on these. I don't know. It's hard to tell from the pictures, but it almost looks like glass or almost plexiglass, to be completely honest. Um, but it's writing, and obviously you can't see what it says really because it's in different language. But um, the interesting thing is that there's like a blue, almost like a motion sensor around, like a blue beam that's almost like a motion sensor around it, and so you can't get close to inspect it. Um, there's Mandarin Chinese, there's Arab characters that are on there. Another part of it is it wrote in Sanskrit, which is the language. It's the language of the gods, from India. So that's another thing that leads to the Hindu god Shiva being the end goal, I guess.
So no one knows what's actually written on these?
I don't know if no one knows. I don't think anyone's able to get close enough to tell. Like there's
So
only
it's
a
a little sketchy.
well, there's I've only found 3 pictures, and from the 3 pictures they're at like an angle, so you can't see A, all of it. You can't see all of the writing, and B, they're angled and behind one another. So you couldn't see to the second and third one or fourth one without going through the motion sensor. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I don't know what's in front of the first one, so it could be like one big glass case around these things that is also surrounded by a motion sensor. Um, but either way, I find it interesting that they would have a motion sensor around just script writing.
It's a little bit suspect.
I mean, it could be, don't smudge the glass, but that seems a little
Written in
bit
like 8 different languages.
right. But it seems like a little bit much for like, hey, don't touch this kind of stuff,
Yeah,
Um,
looking at it now, trying to find pictures, you're right. They're all like from an angle, and most of the pictures, it seems like, are coming from websites that are conspiracy theory
right,
websites.
right,
So I'm not actually finding pictures of this glass on like a reputable like site talking about what it actually is.
right. It could very well be. I mean, it could very well be just like someone snuck in or took a tour or something and was like, "Oh, this looks suspicious. I want to snap a picture," and then they formulated this hypothesis that a Hindu god is being summoned, or it could be just total bullshit, and these things aren't actually like anything. Like it has like a little podium up front that says "Don't touch the glass" in
Yeah.
whatever language.
But I will say, even if the glass has a legitimate reason for being there, similar to the, Shiva statue, I think it, tends to lead people's imaginations astray.
Yeah, I agree. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's another big. I think that combined with the Shiva statue, that some of these are written in Sanskrit, like I said, or Sanskrit. I'm sorry, Sanskrit. I think that kind of like it's like, oh, okay, they got Shiva out front. They got this stuff written in Sanskrit, which is from India. You put 2 and 2 together. We got
It
we got a
must be a
conspiracy,
portal.
right?
It
Yeah.
must be a portal that summons an
Well,
ancient god.
then you get to the third thing I was going to bring up. Um, if you look at the tunnel, the opening to the collider, they say it looks like the statue Shiva, like the outer ring, kind of. If you look
Mhm.
at the picture of Shiva, it kind of resembles that. And they even went so far as to like they put the two pictures on top of each other to show you how similar it is. Um, I personally don't see it. Like I see the ring, and that's about it. Um, the rest of it just looks like wires, that you would find normal for this kind of thing.
Mhm.
Uh, but what do I know, right?
Well, I think I think that, eh, some of it has to do with what Shiva represents,
Hmm.
which is the concept of creation and um, creation of the universe and different things. So I'm looking at like several statues, Shiva statues, and the rings are they all kind of have like a vaguely similar theme.
Hmm.
I'm actually trying to figure out what the ring means. So it looks like the divinity of creation, the births and deaths of the world. So kind of like, even if the ring may not look exactly like the entrance to the Hadron Collider, I think sort of the vague imagery and meaning behind all of it just all kind of fits together for this conspiracy.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Um, but that's the third thing that people mention is the opening or mouth of this tunnel resembles that of the statue of Shiva. Um, and so I guess that's why they think that they're trying to end the world with by bringing forth Shiva. I don't know.
So I think that in terms of the Shiva conspiracy, there's a lot of um uh, you know, tactile proof or uh present, what am I trying to say? Uh I don't know, quote proof that exists like around the research center.
Uh huh.
But when you start to dive into one of the other larger uh thoughts behind this conspiracy, the Egyptian side of it, it gets a little more like hypothetical, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Um, to tell you the truth, I couldn't find much on the Egyptian side. Just like, hey, this is what I think, and then a bunch of people like agreeing with them, but they never like gave why they thought that. Um, they were just like, this is what I think. This they're trying to summon the god of the god of the underworld, Osiris, and this is where they're doing it. What do you
So
think of what I think?
yeah, I guess what I mean by from what I saw, it is sort of comparing the Hadron Collider to this item called the Osiris device,
Okay.
which I think that was what was in the article that you
Yeah, I did see
um
that. I did see
yeah,
that.
which
And
starts diving into more of like ancient alien territory. I think
no,
in the article they say UFO
they
researchers.
do.
So it's kind of it gets more into like I don't know, it's for some strange territory.
I love it. I love it. I love it all. Yep. So
And
here's
yeah,
go
go
ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say is so okay, they show the picture you see like the typical picture of a wormhole, which basically looks like a tube connecting two funnels. That's the easiest way to describe it, right? Would you
Yeah,
agree
it's
with
like
that?
two portals.
Like, I guess they look like two funnels, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, when you're talking about like stepping through a space-time portal, right?
yeah,
Or
but
yeah.
I'm trying to describe what a wormhole looks like
Oh
in the
yeah,
picture.
yes.
It looks like two
Yeah.
funnels connecting to a tube.
Mhm.
Um, so then you got the picture of this Osiris device, and it looks like sort of it resembles it. People say it's a boat, which I see a boat too because there's an oar right there. Um, but whatever. Either way, so the interesting thing is that I don't know if you know this or not, but U.S. scientists have been slamming particles together just like the Hadron Collider, right? In the hopes to make a black hole.
Mhm.
Did you know that?
I think knew that.
Okay. So, I mean these black holes don't mean anything because they're so small they collapse upon themselves very quickly. But the
Mhm.
fact that they're doing it and trying to create a black hole seems messed up, right?
Mhm.
So, the thought process, I guess, for this conspiracy or something is that if they can slam these particles together enough, they'll create a wormhole to another dimension.
Mhm.
And with which the god or entity or whatever they're trying to summon can pass through into our world. And so that is essentially the gist of the non-Shiva side, I guess, um, of this conspiracy.
Yeah. It's sort of well, I mean, I would assume that the Shiva one is also some sort of portal
Oh, for
or
sure. But
wormhole.
in regards to the Osiris device,
Mhm.
uh, that is where that comes into play. Is
Gotcha.
like it looks the same, so therefore it is the same, so
Yeah.
therefore they're using it to pass through.
Well, it's like whenever you start talking about ancient aliens or UFO researchers, it's always, hey, in this ancient drawing, it looks like this kid is holding a laptop or an iPad or like
Yeah,
this person's holding up a light bulb. I like so
yeah.
you kind of get that vibe from the Egyptian side of this where it's like, oh, the Egyptians had this hieroglyph of a boat where in their mythology this boat was the transport between life and death,
Mhm.
or it's what gods use to travel between worlds. And so it's just all kind of the same thing. It's like, you know they say it's a boat, but was it really a large machine trying to create a portal in through space and time?
Yeah,
So
I mean
yeah.
naturally that's what it is. Obviously, come on. No, I know what you're saying. But I will say that if you disregard the boat, all right, it's a boat. I think we can both agree it's a boat, right?
Well, it looks like a boat, but
Okay,
could it
fine.
really be a device?
Okay, fine. If you disregard the image of what looks to be a boat,
Yes.
the fact that scientists and researchers can smash these particles together or this energy together to create black holes
Mhm.
leads me to believe it seems somewhat logical that they would also be able to smash this energy together to create wormholes. Now, would these wormholes be stable enough to allow transport? Probably not. But it could be possible, I guess, theoretically, right?
Uh, maybe?
Right, maybe. Like,
The theoretically, me, I don't know. I'm not, on the top of my theoretical wormhole game right
amateur,
now, but
amateur, and
I mean, but if sci-fi's original series Farscape has taught us anything, it's that yes, wormholes theoretically are possible, and one day one brave soul might venture through
good
and
show.
have alien adventures.
That's a good show. Or Star Trek, because Star Trek is more true to life than Farscape. All right.
Or well, Stargate was not uh they didn't create a wormhole, but there was a portal. And
Yeah,
when you start talking about Egyptians and portals, Stargate definitely comes to mind.
for sure. And I mean, even in the same article, they refer to the Hadron Collider as a Stargate. That they believe it's a Stargate with which Shiva can step through, um, much like Stargate SG-1 and the movie Stargate, and all the other ones. Um,
Yes.
so, however, real quick, Star Trek is more true to life. A lot of the things that they had in Star Trek we have now, like tablets and other things, AI, androids, all that stuff. Just saying. So that's your future. So if we want to take
Well,
anything, it's from Star Trek.
you so this is getting a little bit off topic.
Just a
Um
little bit.
because I don't know if we want to jump down this. Anyway, I won't go too in depth into it, but for those of you who are fans of the show Community, which is a few years old now, one of the characters in that show has a quick bit where he is talking about how he's a fan of Farscape and and launches into this conversation about wormholes and space versus time and anyway, if we're talking about how Star Trek is more true to life, I think we could also say that Farscape isn't necessarily set in the future. Maybe.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Back on
Anyway.
topic. Back to, the end of the world through ancient Egyptian and Hindu gods. So what would be what do you think the purpose would be of summoning a god or some sort of entity through the use of this Stargate, wormhole, portal, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, so I think that's one of the big holes in this conspiracy, is that that's never really talked about. What is the point of summoning a god? And
Mhm.
I guess in theory, uh, I know a few articles have mentioned, oh, the point is to summon a god that will, cleanse the earth and give humanity a chance to start anew or something. I don't know. But then it's like, okay, well, why are the people at the, Center for Nuclear Research, why is that their goal? And
Right.
then, well, I don't know, it just is. So I guess it kind of brings up the question of, you know, intention. So are the people at CERN intentionally trying to do this? Or is there a possibility that it's unintentional and they're just messing with things they, don't understand and something like creating a portal could just happen, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it could also be a somewhat combination of the two, and that they're kind of just like messing around with stuff that they don't understand quite that much. But the end goal would be to create a portal. Maybe if they,
Yeah.
I mean, if you throw enough darts at the wall, something's gonna stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So their ends goal, so discovering particles is maybe something of a cover up
Right.
where they may be trying to discover something, not particles necessarily, but is a space slash time portal possible.
Right.
So not with any sort of malicious intent. Um, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. The thing is that so they say that they're trying to discover these particles and everything, but if they have the ability to create a black hole, don't you think that they could theorize that they could also create a particle at some point, just with the right calculations and setup and everything? Like, doesn't that make sense? Because that's how I thought it. Like, if you can create a black hole, if you know how to create a black hole, and even though it's not stable, you created it from nothing or seemingly nothing.
Mhm.
Um, you could then hypothesize that yes, it would be possible to create the God particle just with the right steps taken, the right setup, everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know how much I can speak to that based on my scientific knowledge. Is it apples and oranges in apples and oranges kind of scenario?
I don't know. That's the
Uh,
problem. I don't know.
we're just not smart enough.
We're just not smart. Well, we need
That's
to go
the
get our
problem.
doctorates. We need to go work for CERN, and then we can come back and revisit this.
Right. Stay tuned for our next episode, part 2 of the Hadron Collider in
Yeah.
about 16 years.
Yeah, no, next Tuesday, two Tuesdays from now, we'll have it figured out. But I don't know. That's just the way I thought it. Like, if you can do this, then you should theoretically be able to do this, kind of thing. That could be like a stupid way to look at it, which is fine. I'm fine with that. But that's just how I processed it in my own brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could very well be the stupidest. Like, you dumbass. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. But other than that, I don't understand why. So okay, so if we're going with my theory that if you can create a black hole, then you theoretically could create the particle that you're looking for, and you let people know that you've created a black hole, it doesn't seem like a very good cover up to say, "Hey, we're looking for particles. We're looking for the God particles." Does that make sense? Like, that's where I was going with that.
So, like, you're saying we should be smart enough at this point to find what what CERN is saying they're looking for.
I'm saying that
It's a
if
bad cover up.
if they're telling us that they've created a black hole,
Yes.
okay, so they've given us that knowledge. Now, if people have the same kind of thought process that I do, which again could be the stupidest thought process in the world, not saying I'm right. If they have the same thought process I do, then you would, like, it wouldn't be a good cover up to me to say, "Hey, we're still looking for these particles," if we already know that you could do it. Does that make sense?
I see where you're coming from, but I think that I am not of the same thought process.
Okay.
I get where you're coming from. Yes. I just feel like it's an apples to oranges situation.
It very well could be. Like, again, I fully admit that I don't know dog crap.
Yeah.
But that's just how I thought it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're going off of kind of the way that you're thinking about it, it's basically their cover up isn't a very good cover up. In which case, like, if they're actually trying to create wormholes or portals or something else, they probably could have picked a better cover up. Is what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But so
I mean, I think that I guess what is interesting to think about, because what I was gonna say is, if research facility just straight up came out and said, "Hey, we're experimenting and we're trying to figure out how to open up a wormhole." Like, I feel like that would cause a bit of controversy. But realistically, I mean, the fact that there are other research facilities creating black holes, that's also controversial. And I know that, plenty of people have spoken out about that.
Oh, for sure.
It's kind of creating a black hole and creating a wormhole are kind of on the same level. Like, it's just kind of crazy to think about. There are actually people in labs trying to do this stuff.
Oh, for sure. Exactly. And I mean, that's exactly what I thought when I heard that they were creating black holes. Is like, okay, well, I'm glad that they're not stable enough to, devour anything. But what happens when you create one that does? Like, that is able to, grow and start sucking things in. What happens then?
Yeah. Well, like, the implications of creating a wormhole versus implications of creating a black hole seem lesser in the grand scheme of things. But I guess if we're diving back into the conspiracy theory mind, I don't know, maybe a portal that summons a god has more implications than baby black holes.
Well, I mean, I guess the thought process there becomes, what would the god do when it arrived? You know, would it bring about the end of the world? Um, would it just make all life on Earth cease to exist? Um, like
I mean,
how?
I think all of the implications of, when you talk about an evil presence or the Antichrist, or, I mean, even Osiris and Shiva, they're tied to life and death or
Mhm.
rebirth. So it's none of it sounds like a great scenario. It all sounds like it's destruction of some kind, right?
Yeah, so it's basically like pick your poison. Do you want to get sucked up into a black hole, or do you want to just get blinked out of existence like a Marvel
Right.
movie? Like, what do you want to happen to you? Um,
Right.
so I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't know. I I don't know. I don't know.
This is I think a conspiracy theory that I would be interested in. Like I kind of want to believe it. Maybe
Mhm,
not the summoning of a deity part,
mhm,
but maybe just the part where they're actually trying to create some sort of portal. I don't know. I mean, in every sci-fi scenario, it's never worked out well, but
right.
I still think the idea of it is pretty cool.
I think, okay, so then that leads to the question, all right, would you be, if they came out and they said, hey, we're opening a portal, or we're trying to open up a portal using the Large Hadron Collider, right? Would you be more or less accepting of it if they were like, hey, it's a portal to another world rather than a portal like across the globe? Does that make sense?
Well, portal across the globe is what, just like teleportation?
Sure. I mean, it's all
I guess technically it's
teleportation.
all teleportation. uh, would I be more accepting if it was a portal to another world versus just global teleportation?
Yeah.
No. Well, no. That
Okay, that's
it
not
sounds
more or less. That's just like that's not
Well, now you're introducing the concept of, like, global teleportation.
as opposed to the totally sane teleportation to another world.
Yes. One
Okay.
one sounds one sounds useful and life-changing, and the other one sounds scary and dangerous.
Potentially scary and dangerous, but it could
Yeah.
be useful and fun.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, it could be, it could be. Think about
There
if like think about what we could learn about different cultures. We always look at different cultures, whole different world, a whole new world.
Speaking of portals and teleportation to other worlds, uh, there sorry, this just popped up because it was recent and relevant.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys know that there's a Doom movie on Netflix right now.
Yeah, there's a second one.
The Doom Annihilation.
Yeah, it's the second one.
If you haven't watched it, please don't, it's bad.
I've heard it's
But
I've heard it's god awful.
it's terrible, but it starts with people trying to figure out how, like, experimenting with teleportation.
Mhm.
Um, Also, like I said, any sci-fi scenario with teleportation, wormholes, gates, never ever works out well.
Fair.
So, you know, I can't even say that realistically I would be that excited about global teleportation because I feel like something would probably get screwed up there too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of teleportation it is. You know, if it's like I don't know, if you just like step through and then you zip off to another part of the world or whatever, it could be. better than like the Star Trek version of teleportation, where they break your body down into like tiny little bit of like itty bitty molecules and send you across space, and then you get reformed on the other side. You know, like
Yeah, but that one, if you're not, if like your data isn't being sent across space, then like the other scenario is that you're passing through something else.
mhm.
I don't know. If I have to pass through the fourth dimension, you know, for this global teleportation scenario, I don't know. That sounds scary.
So you'd rather have teleportation to another world,
Yes. I don't know.
or none of the above? Is that what we're going with?
I will reserve judgments until I know the method of teleportation before I make a call. Yeah.
Do you think teleportation exists?
You
Like
mean
in our
could
current?
exist?
No. Do you think it does exist?
Like, are people being teleported now?
Yeah.
No.
No. Not even
No.
like the richest of the rich in some laboratory somewhere. They're teleporting some dude across the laboratory.
Is this like a separate conspiracy theory
No, I was just.
that the extremely wealthy are able to teleport?
I mean,
If it's
it's.
not a conspiracy, I think we should start one.
I mean, it could be a. I mean,
Global elite have secret teleportation technology.
look, man. All right. So the rich have certain advantages, and that's not like a not joking. They really do.
No,
They really
I
do.
will tell you that I wish that the global elite had secret teleportation technology because right now I'm pretty sure they're just flying on private jets and that's really screwing up the environment. So I would like them to stop.
All right, magic carpets for everybody. But do you think so you said no, you don't think teleportation
No,
exists.
I don't think it exists
Do you
now in
think
our current
it
time
could
period.
exist in say 25 years?
That's a big question. I don't know. I would like to think that it could exist eventually. Now, 25 years, probably not. I don't know. That it just seems like technology that's so outside of our current realm. But
Mhm.
I guess if I look back at the last 25 years, I mean, a lot has happened. So I don't know. It just seems like such a big I don't know. I would say that yes, I think it could exist. I hope it could exist, but probably not in my lifetime.
Not in your lifetime, you saying? That's how far you're going.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I was just curious. I I think it could have been. I think it could be a thing now. I think it could.
You think it exists now?
I think it does on some weird, you know, at some weird facility. They're transporting people across, like into the next room or across the room, and they're just like fine tuning it.
I don't know. One of my favorite movies is The Fly, so I'm somewhat teleportation adverse.
I get you. I get you. I get you. I
But,
understand.
if it's safe and practical, do I think it obviously it's world changing, but uh, you know, it's also kind of scary.
Would you step through a portal that was created by the Large Hadron Collider?
Um,
Someone was like, "Hey, Biscuit, we want you to test this out."
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you just got sacrificed. They used you as a sacrifice to the god.
For some reason, if someone told me that they thought they owned a portal versus a portal to, I don't know, Russia or something, I feel like how could you say no to be the first to step into a portal to another world?
All right,
You know?
fair enough.
I
Fair
think I
enough.
would do it.
I would not do it just because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but in 43 years, roughly, give or take a couple of days, uh, the world's first warp drive will be invented, and will make first contact with the Romulans.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you wouldn't
No, I want to be here
test
for
the
that.
warp. Oh, okay.
I want to be here to make first contact with the Romulans.
Gotcha. So you
Yeah.
have to at least survive the next 43 years,
Right.
and then you can die happy.
Right. It's actually
You'll
43 years and 5 days. It's April 5th.
Okay. But after that, if
After
someone
that,
asks you
I'm
to
cool.
step into a portal, you're
I'm
good.
cool. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm chill. We can do that. So final thoughts. Do you believe, not believe, half believe?
I do not believe this one, although I am hopeful. Well, I'm not hopeful. I think it would be neat to have a portal to another world. Do I think that's what they're working on at CERN? No.
Okay. I thought you were gonna be like, I think it would be neat to have an ancient god step through a
No.
portal into our world.
No, all of the deity summoning, that's not for me. But yeah.
Okay. I um I half believe this is
Huh.
happening.
Okay.
I don't necessarily believe in the deity stuff or the Antichrist or the end of the world or anything like that. But in my thought process, if they can create a black hole, they can probably theoretically create a wormhole, and that is what I think that they're attempting to do is create a wormhole to somewhere, and yeah, that's what I think.
So you do think that they have a cover-up story
I
and that they're
do.
actually working on
I do. It could even
something.
be that it's like like you said, like they're actually working on it, but that's not the main goal. You know, like
Mhm.
they're actually looking for the God particle, but it's not. They're not really. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because they want that wormhole.
I mean,
That's what I think.
interesting. Okay.
That's what I think. I don't know. I don't know, but this one was interesting. It was fun to think about, fun to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's similar to our last theory where obviously there are a lot of potential pitfalls
Hmm.
in the way that this theory is laid out, but interesting to discuss and think about, nevertheless.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. All right, at best, they create a wormhole or a portal. You know, at medium, they create the Flash, and at worst, they summon a deity that destroys the world. So
Right. It's kind of a
there's
there's large gaps between each one of those scenarios.
there's really no losing though, because if they do end up summoning the god, maybe you'll be spared in exchange for servitude, perhaps.
Maybe. I mean, I could be down with, serving Osiris
There you
for
go.
that sweet god life.
Right, exactly. You live a life of servitude in exchange for lavish riches.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, sign me up. Um,
It's a no-brainer, really.
Right. But other than that, I have nothing else. I have nothing else to talk about this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was a fun to muse about this one, but ultimately, well, you have your own thoughts.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
But fun to talk about.
It was fun to talk about,
And
yeah.
I always like to dive a little bit deeper into some of these science facilities that exist that are studying things, that are doing really cool work.
Mhm.
If you believe what they say they're actually working on,
Right.
which I do, and I think
Right.
it's so cool.
I thought, one of my favorite topics that we've covered recently was the HARP facility, honestly, because the thought of weaponizing the weather is so out there, you know. But then to go into it and like find out that they kind of did weaponize the weather back in the '60s, during Vietnam, and I mean to a lesser extent, admittedly, but just the thought of being able to control and manipulate the weather to serve your purpose is awesome. It's a great idea.
Oh yeah, it's out there.
So, but yeah, I love these that we've been talking about lately. They're a lot of fun. I hope we can continue them in the future. But other than that, I have nothing else. So we can wrap it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have thoughts or ideas on any other, suspect scientific facilities,
Yeah.
we'd love to hear them.
Or any ideas at all, honestly.
Yep.
Hit us
Any
up.
conspiracy that you would like to hear us talk about is up for game. Is game. We're
Yeah.
up for it.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about some weird stuff. So don't think that your idea is too outside of the box. Trust me.
We've talked about plenty of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Christ.
It's always the lizard people.
It always comes back. But other than that, if you guys have any thoughts, any ideas that you want to get to us, you can reach us at TinBiscuitR on Twitter or at TinBiscuit Reviews at gmail.com, or however you want to get a hold of us. We'll respond, or at least I will. I know Biscuit is busy with a lot of work and stuff, but overall,
I have
we'll
a
get
lot of
back to you.
important things going on.
Right, she has a lot of important things, but no, we'll get back to you. I'm kidding. We'll get back to you. And other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a great night.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks, Tin Man.